Hey, it's Ross Jeffries, and we're here May 6th, and we're here once again with Basket Bob. My co-trainer today will be Tazleberry Cat. Tazleberry is sitting in my chair. Taz, if I give you a cat candy, will you get up? You're so beautiful. Okay, Daddy's got to help Basket Case Bob, so... All right, so Basket Case, I shouldn't call you that. So, when was the last time I saw you? 2 weeks ago? Do you remember? What was it? 3?
It was a while ago.
Was it 2, 3 weeks?
3 or 4 weeks, wasn't it?
So overall, how are things going? I know you sent me an email that you had a crazy mad makeout session with some girl.
Yes.
So tell us about the crazy mad makeout session and what led up to it, and what did you do to get that mad makeout?
Yes, that's correct. I did have a crazy mad makeout session.
Tell us about the crazy mad makeout. Was she hot?
With a hot girl.
Good.
She was taller than I was.
Well, good. That's always hot.
Yeah, and I went to a...
Is that on me? Can we see me?
We can see you perfectly, Ross.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
So I went to a Trinity nightclub in Hollywood.
Oh, good.
A friend of mine was throwing a birthday party.
Uh-huh.
And I just went there, and I was in the frame of mind that I'm there to make out with hot chicks, and that's it.
That was your frame of mind. Now,
that was my frame of mind.
Did you set up that frame of mind? Did you rehearse it before you walked out the door? Did you select that frame of mind, or did it just come over you? Which was it?
I think it just came over me on the way to the club.
Right.
You know, I was thinking, you know, other people are there to the club to drink. Some people are there to smoke. Some people are there to dance. What am I there to do? I'm there to make out with hot chicks.
Very good. Now my question is when you set that intention, I noticed you made a gesture. You said, "I'm there to make out with hot chicks." Do you remember? Because this is a resource. This part of your consciousness that can set an intention, like on the fly, and then actually carry it out. That's a resource. Part of my understanding as a teacher is I believe that windows of seduction mastery are constantly presenting themselves to guys, they just don't see it. Now that was a great resource that broke through for you. So my question is, do you remember what you did? Did you make that gesture that you just made when you described it? Can you remember what you did?
I'm not sure if I made any gesture at the time. I know I was driving to the club. I was on the way to the club, on my way to pick up a friend.
Yeah. Did you talk to yourself, or was it all in your head?
It was all in my head.
Do you remember, if you put yourself back there just for a minute, and you tune into where subjectively you heard that voice in your head, if you were to point to where subjectively that voice came from, where did it come from? Point. Don't answer me verbally. Point. Back there, back and to the right, or completely back?
I'd say completely back.
All right, completely back. Was it above your head, at the same level of your head, behind your head? Where was it? Like
right the same level, yeah.
Okay, can you hear the tonality of that voice if you tune into it again?
Yeah.
Was there any physical sensation in your body as you used that voice?
I can't really recall.
Okay, but I want you to remember that, good, as you take that inhale, that is a resource for you to set an intention. That's a powerful resource. So go ahead. So you went to the club after having set that intention. What happened?
Right, so I ended up talking to several people, mingling around, you know, just being friendly, and I came across one particular girl.
Let me stop you right there. So that's good. So you didn't go in, even though your intent is, I'm here to make out with hot chicks, right? Did you say a hot chick to yourself?
Just hot chicks.
You didn't go in with a predatory vibe. You went in being friendly.
Right.
Okay. And keep going.
Right, so I did happen to run across one particularly hot babe, and I opened her up, chatted with her.
How did you open her? What did you say?
I kind of either convinced myself partially that I may have known her from somewhere, and so I went up there and said, "Do I know you from somewhere? I think we might have met."
It was congruent, though. You really thought you had met her.
Right.
All right.
Although I probably hadn't.
Okay. But when you deliver something congruently, it can make the difference between a dumb pickup line, "Don't I know you from somewhere?"
Right.
And, "Hey, wait a minute, this is an effective opener because you're being congruent and really believe what you're saying." What was her response?
She was thinking about whether or not she had met me before, trying to remember if
So
she had.
you were able to calibrate when she was in her head thinking it.
Right.
Go ahead. Yeah, keep going. Very good.
And, I just exchanged some basic information with her, like, who she was there at the club with, why she was there, what group she was in. And she was kind of within an adjacent group to the group I was in, or, friends of friends or whatever. And so then, we talked to her a little bit, and then she gave me the, I have to go to the bathroom line. Mm-hmm. And so she disappeared, and I just went on my way. Right. And, I talked to some other people and chatted up a few other girls, and then...
Now, were you using any patterning or embedded commands? Were you doing any practice of the things I told you to do?
I came up with one pretty good opener on the spot with another girl. I came up to her and I said, "Do you realize how many random events had to have taken place for you to be standing in front of me?
I love that.
And to be standing in front of you."
I love that, because not only is it a time she has to think. It's very good, Bob, because I'm going to use that myself. I encourage people watching to use Bob's opener. There you go. That was his thumb. People, he's not that enthusiastic. But think about this. What it does is, you realize how many random events have to occur. So she has to go back in time. She goes back. So time distorts her. Then she has to come forward into the present. So it's a nice time distortion. And it implies, even though you're talking about random events, that the two of you there are the result of a lot of things pushing you together without saying it. So it uses implication, it uses pseudo-orientation of time. It's brilliant. What was her response?
Right. Well, it also makes her think of an infinite number of events, which is impossible to do.
I guess so. But
I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what you think.
No, Bob, step back a minute. That was a resource too. Your ability to come up creatively with that opener on the spot, that's also a resource. So I want to point out to you that not only was this a good opener, but your resourcefulness, that creative consciousness that's operating in the moment, that comes up with what you need, is showing a deepening understanding of the dynamics of what attracts women. It's manifesting and bubbling up into your conscious awareness, but it's there because your understanding of how attractive you can be and what makes her attractiveness is expanding. So good for you. This is a very good sign. So what was her response?
She smiled, and I went on with some other, what do you hear? What brought you to the club? How are you doing?
But my question is, I did assign you after you do the openers to start. Right. I gave you two different things to attempt.
Right.
Have you been introducing any of the? Well, we'll get there. So what happened with this girl?
I chatted her up, and she was with a friend, and I chatted her friend up, and I could detect she, wasn't the smartest girl in the club.
Let's get to the hot one. So what happened with the hot one?
So later in the night, after I'd been mingling around, I ran into the hot girl that I ended up making out with, and I basically said, during the conversation, actually I came up to her and I said, "Do you like to dance?" And I really didn't care if she said yes or no, because I said, after that, I said, "Well, I know one really cool dance move. Do you want to see it?" And she was like, "Sure." So I grabbed her arm, I twirled her around, I put her arm behind my neck, and I put both hands on her hips, and, looked into her eyes and said, "I'm just here to make out with hot chicks."
I like it. That's really cocky and really direct. And
right. And at that point, she says, "Well, I have a boyfriend." And just out of nowhere, I said, "I don't care."
Very good. Very good. So this is coming forward with a strong, cocky sexual vibe. Right. And what was her response to that?
Well, I could tell that, she'd never heard that response before.
It's a good pattern interrupt, isn't it?
Right. Her pattern was I could tell her pattern was completely interrupted. Mm-hmm. She didn't know what to say or do from there. And fortunately, my wingman was standing right next to her, and he just said, "We're all here just to have a good time, so why don't you just go for it?" And
to her or to you?
To her.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like a switch flipped in her head. She leaned over and started...
Could you see that switch flip? Could
you
see it in her expression?
Yeah.
Good, so you're learning to calibrate. So she leaned over and...
Yeah, and we started making out for a good, like, minute and 30 seconds or so.
Good, good.
In front of the whole club.
Now, remember the reality I told you?